Hello, and welcome to Keeper's Corner Podcast, where we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. With your hosts, as always, Matthew Sterling, Michelle Brooks, and Brandon Brooks. Let's go. Hello, welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner Podcast. Just Matt and Brandon here this time, and I guess that kind of stinks for Michelle because we get to talk about a win.
Yes, about freaking time. It's been a while since we were able to talk happy thoughts.
That game was what, the 12th of February. Our last win came against Harrisburg on
Before the holidays, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like the 18th or 19th of.
It was the 18th of December.
18th. So almost 2 months. We snapped an 8-game losing streak, handed St. Louis their 5th straight loss.
Yep. Barely, but we did.
We did. Might have had a little help. We'll talk about that in due process.
Yes, we will.
But yeah, when it's live Saturday night, I'm at work. Missed the first quarter because we're busy.
Which sucks because that was a productive quarter for us.
It was nice to open my phone and plug my earbuds in to start cleaning up the kitchen and have it be 2-0. That was the first time Utica scored first this entire season.
All season. Yep. Very first time. Which is weird because even the 2 games that we won, we still scored second.
Yeah.
So it definitely broke the trend and kind of set the tone, at least for the very first 2 quarters. It was a different atmosphere. At the very least, just talking on the first quarter, it was definitely a different atmosphere for the team. They were cutting angles. They were playing defensively. They were taking shots. It was a very productive quarter, and it was not the same team that we've seen these past few weeks, in my opinion. Last week we saw glimpses of a kind of a different team. This week we saw a lot more of it. We saw that develop further.
Yeah, Utica, I would say, played 3 good quarters. And that other one that's been a curse to us was certainly...
We went back to old habits in that particular quarter.
Could have been worse.
Oh, yeah, it could have been unsalvageable. But because we had a lead and we had made some scores early on, that's what saved us.
Yeah. Brandon, I know you have a play that you think changed the game. Do you want to talk about it?
So, and then, this is, I sincerely believe that while watching the game, which, I wasn't there, but I was, watching it on YouTube, it definitely felt like there was a very big momentum shift after the red card on Kochkov. I'm not necessarily saying that, I know there's a lot of controversy around that one because, he thought he got carded first, which kind of gave him the dissent afterwards because he was getting mouthy with the ref for getting carded. Then essentially that first card that we thought he was getting got rescinded. He still got a dissent and he got a delay of game, which then was the 3 cards and booted him out of the game.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of confusion around that one. There was a lot of back and forth. And regardless of the circumstances around it, that you could feel a momentum shift after that happened. There was a lot. It felt like St. Louis got a bit more sloppy after he was out of the rotation. Almost like, there was literally just a piece missing, a gear missing from their offense, which really, that's where we started to see Utica. It took a little while. It still took a good 10 minutes or so before Utica started to come alive. But once they did, there didn't seem like there was much stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a crucial momentum swing, especially in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say mine was the first goal of the game. It was, you could tell, especially rewatching it. Scoring first lifted a huge weight off of these guys' shoulders.
Yep.
They weren't playing from behind. They got out to a 3-0 lead. They went into the half up 4-2 for the first time since that second Harrisburg game. Only the third time all season, because they went into the half up against Baltimore, and then we know how that one went at home.
And then that happened.
Maybe fourth. Did we go into the half up against Milwaukee?
Let me just double check that one. That's the only one other I know we didn't go into the half against like Florida up ever. Because those were always were painful.
At most.
We did go into the half with Milwaukee up 5-4. And then they scored once in the third and then twice in the fourth, and we scored once in the fourth. So yeah.
Yeah, I just think that helped. These guys at times looked like they were playing with a chip on their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And they looked good playing with that chip.
Yes, they did. They absolutely did.
But at a lot of times this season, there's been like just a crushing mental weight, and you can see it on their faces, and their heads are hanging. And getting that first goal, I think, just took a lot of that. The fear of the here we go again out of them for a while.
Yeah, no, it was pretty crucial that we scored first. I mean, we've needed to, because again, like you said, frankly, it's the here you go again, or here we go again syndrome. We've dealt with that a lot this season. I mean, we've had a rough season, but yeah, scoring first definitely. Again, that's where I think a lot of it came from for those first two quarters. Is we had 3 goals by 3 minutes into the second quarter, with not much in the way of offense coming from St. Louis, and any offense they did have was going wide. And again, I don't think that's necessarily due to their inaccuracy. I think that looking at us, we were cutting off angles. We had Coughlin was on point. So anything that was on goal, what he was blocking, catching, whatever. But again, we were cutting off angles. We were making it difficult for them to shoot. Mm-hmm. There is one play that was in the third. I don't remember the goal, but I do remember who didn't block it. And I'm gonna call it out here, because they were being covered. I don't remember who. I want to say it was JT Thomas, because it was a solo goal. Okay. He was being covered by Bordeaux. Bordeaux got beat, and he went to the corner. The thing is that Bordeaux did not pursue. Bordeaux kind of stood there and jogged a little bit. Didn't chase it down, and then he was able to just rip a shot off and sink it, no problem. I sincerely believe that could have turned out differently had he pursued, because he had no pressure. He had 0 pressure on him, so he could take all the time he wanted to take a shot, and he did, and it was on target, and he scored off of that. So I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like that was painful to see when that happened. Mm-hmm. It was extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, the third quarter in general was on a not something we wanted to have happen.
No.
And we'll talk about that in a bit. But do you have a stat that you think tells the story?
I mean,
I can cover for you while you look quick.
yeah, I'm actually looking up what the goal was, because it wasn't the JT Thomas one.
Okay.
So, but you go ahead. I will.
My stat that tells the story is Utica getting 8 goals on 19 shots. 14 of them were on net. And only 5 of them got blocks. We were much more selective. We weren't just firing away to fire away.
Mm-hmm.
They were just higher quality shots. And, in some games, you're going to have a shootout where you're going to run 25, 27, 30 shots on goal or shots. But we were a lot more surgical in our offense on this one.
Yep.
You picked, you chose, and it worked out a lot better because you weren't just blasting it off the boards around the net and letting, the defense collect and clear it.
I actually think I might take back what I said.
Huh?
Rewatching it. So it was the third quarter, 10-20. So that's what? That is third quarter. It was the first one. No,
it's the Marcel Berry from Robert Christo.
Yep.
The tie one.
Yes. So
The first tie
where it ties 4-4. Yes. So rewatching it, the way it looked on camera the first time I saw it, it literally looked like Bordeaux got beat and then just kind of jogged back. But now watching it again, he gets beat. He does slow down, but then he tries to cut the angle. He starts coming in instead of going on, man on man. So
Okay.
I admit I definitely was wrong on that one, and not too proud to admit it. So he played that differently than what it looked on camera. But when I first saw that, I'm like, he literally looked like he gave up. But now that I've seen it again, that wasn't the case. I have a kind of a stat that tells a bit of a story.
Okay.
20 penalty minutes for St. Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of cards this game. Quite a few. I mean, granted, those, a couple of those cards, maybe those, I don't know if, 10 of those minutes would have been the 2 yellow cards.
Yeah, 10 of them are that. The other 10 are the blues.
But still, that's 5 blue cards for St. Louis. And, I mean, Utica had 3. So, I mean, we still had 6 minutes of penalty minutes. I mean, there was a lot of cards this game. A lot of cards. Like, they were handing them out like Pokemon cards.
Candy on Halloween.
Exactly. But no, I mean, if you looked at the stat, talking about shots on goal, we were definitely methodical on that. I do agree with you there, but we were also taking shots. Like, we weren't just looking for the absolute perfect shot, like it feels like we're doing sometimes. We were taking some shots, taking some risks. But yeah, I mean, the ambush, they got a ton of shots in, but they weren't able to capitalize. They were only able to capitalize on 9 of them out of 29, which is, I mean, it still ends up being a 6-8 save percentage for Coughlin, but that's only because he only had to save 22 of them, because again, that's where that we were cutting off angles thing comes into play. They weren't able to get them on goal, or at least enough where Coughlin needed to make a save.
This game looked more, I don't want to say vintage Utica, because there were times where we clearly were not all the way back to what we needed to be. Like the entire third quarter for the most part.
Yeah.
But you could see things hopefully moving in the right direction and in a way that they could continue to move in the right direction. I want to talk about something that's moving in the wrong direction.
Okay.
And that is still Utica. So at this point in the season, last week I mentioned where we were standings wise.
Yep.
We're going to go look at the standings again. Last week we were 10th in the league. This week we're 11th. Even though we got a win, we dropped a spot because Chihuahua, which has at this time played 3 less games than us, had 2 games, and they won both of them outright in regulation. So they leapfrogged us for 10th. And they leapfrogged Tacoma for 11th, all the way up to 9th. And we dropped a point because we took it to overtime to win.
Right.
And Milwaukee was able to seal theirs out in regulation. So we're now 7 points out of playoff contention with 11 games to play. And we have dropped to, we have 3 teams that we have to get ahead of if we want to steal that 8th spot.
It's going to be a tough road. And we have some difficult games ahead. We've got, 3 Baltimores. We've got a San Diego. We've got a Florida. Those are, not to write off Harrisburg, but they, that they're compared to the rest of them, they are more manageable based on past experience.
Yeah. Which, we'll see.
Yeah, I know.
We'll see. San Diego's back on top in the league, and we have to play them at home one more time.
Yep, we have to play Florida one more time.
Hey, at least we don't have to play Kansas City. So we avoid one powerhouse this season.
Yeah. One. We hit the rest of them, though.
All right. Well, we're still talking about this game. That third quarter was, I don't know what that was.
It was vintage Utica in the third quarter. And by vintage, I mean basically every game that we've played this season. Again, we slipped back into old habits in that quarter. Old habits from this season specifically. Like we weren't doing anything that I was mentioning from the first quarter. We weren't cutting angles as well. We were the one thing that drives me crazy is when we keep pushing back and back and back, further and further and further, letting them push us back while we're just passing back and forth. Like somebody's got to get open up further ahead so that we can pass the ball forward and apply pressure. You can't just let them apply pressure, because guess what happened? Again, they stole the ball halfway or midway through at the midway point of the field. They took it back and they scored. I think not once, but twice. In fact, yeah, there was, because that's where they had basically 2 goals back to back. Just about. And that was because of that.
Yeah, they were stupid close. I remember.
Yeah. So you've got the JT Thomas from Pepe at 3:27 in the third. And then you have Marcel Berry at 4:40. So within just over a minute. Then the second pair was JT Thomas solo at 9:04. And then Robert Cristo at 9:48. literally 45 seconds later.
Yeah.
And it was off of a steal, just like, just like we've seen previously. We slipped back into that habit, and we got to get away from that.
Yeah, and then if you want to continue, there's a goal at 11:51, which was only 2 minutes and 3 seconds. There's 3 goals in 2 minutes and under 3 minutes.
I didn't want to continue.
Yeah, it was a very ugly third quarter.
Yes.
However, weirdly enough, we saw Utica stick with it in the fourth quarter.
Yes, we did.
We shut out St. Louis. They didn't score again after that 7th goal in the third quarter. Instead of crumbling like we've seen so many times this year. Like I said, that the play that changed the game for me in the first quarter, getting that goal, it took that weight off. And in the fourth quarter, I think they knew that they could hang with this team.
Yep. Also, I'm sorry, I just got to the point in the video again. Hats off to the front row that was near the cameras. They took a beating that game. 2 people basically took a soccer ball either to the face, to the body, something.
Which is one of the reasons the league's left it up to teams if they want to put glass up or not. But yep. I don't like that for the fact that it changes the gameplay between arenas drastically.
Yep. And
I don't like that it's being done in the middle of the season because teams are built around a certain style of play already.
Yes.
Look, if you want to go glass up everywhere, I'm fine with it. Don't care. Do it before a season. Like the season ends by September, announce that that's going to be the rules for next year. The Lucio goal that brought us within 1 in the fourth. That's the importance of following your shot.
Yep.
He collected his own rebound. He got the goal.
Yep.
It's the same in indoor soccer as it is in basketball, as it is in outdoor soccer.
But that's also something we expect from Lucio too. Like he always has followed up on his shots. Like we've saw that in past years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he and Everton are very level-headed additions to this team.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Joey with the hat trick resurgence, which fantastic.
Oh, it was so nice to see.
Segura called game there in overtime, and we left with 2 points.
That was a pretty goal, okay? That was, oh my God, that little juggle in the guys in the one ambush player's face. I mean, that was dirty, but it's not dirty in the sense of a bad play, but it was just like he literally juggles it in his face.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to bring up from that play.
Yeah.
I have not seen the guys celebrate that hard for any goal in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like I'm hoping that carries over to our next game. I wish that it wasn't so far out from this game because I can guarantee they'd be riding that high from this game into the next one had it not been a week and a half in between.
Mm-hmm.
Because, oh my God, watching those guys celebrate after, it was like, you could tell that they needed that desperately. They needed that win.
Yeah, this next game breaks up a road trip for us before we go back out on the road for a few more.
Yep.
But before the game was rescheduled from the day after Christmas to where it is now, I was looking forward to this week off.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the stretch of games that we'd just gone through, the first half, how ridiculously tough that schedule was.
Yep.
It was going to be a good point to recoup. And now the team can't do that for as long. So that's an unfortunate outcome from the COVID.
Boy, I just realized that that weekend's gonna suck for me because I have to work Saturday night. So I get to go to the game. I get to go to the game, and I get to go into work at about 11:30 that night. Work for a few hours, and then
Is that the final one of the season?
No. This is February 26th. Okay. I work like one weekend a month overnight, and that just happens to be that weekend. So, I mean, at least they're away, so I can, not necessarily be at the game.
Yeah.
But at least
have to go into work with a scratchy voice and.
No, that's going to be. Why do you think I took Thursday off next week so that I could, so that I don't have to go in with a scratchy voice?
To be honest, like I said, I started listening to it at work, listening to it on the way home. Lucio ties the game, and I'm just coming into Boonville. So with that much time left, I'm like, I don't care how this game ends. I'm not leaving my car. I'm not missing a thing.
You mean Joey ties the game?
Or yeah, Lucio brings us within one.
Yes.
Joey ties the game. I'm sitting in my car, just yes. Watch it play out. No, there's a quick break. Run inside, get the TV on, sit my ass down. Segura hits it. I jump off the couch yelling, yes! And I'm like, oh, crap, it's 10:30 at night. I don't need to be that loud.
Yeah, Michelle was not too happy with me either because I basically did the same thing. I was watching it on my computer with a couple of friends, and we were chatting, and as soon as that happened, I popped off. Like I jumped up, I was screaming, oh my God, I was so happy. I think not only did the team need that, the fans needed something. We needed some energy out of the team, and we got it. It felt so good to see a win.
It needed to happen.
Yeah, in a season that we've been unfortunately so desperate for them. It was just, we needed that. Something fierce.
So, I do want to, because we mentioned how many penalty cards there were in this game.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we need to address the officiating. And it's because it's been so dangerous for the players because they don't get things under control.
Yep.
I don't know, that first blue card on Kojakov, that looked on every replay that they showed and every angle that was available to the public. I don't see Kojakov make contact with Schindler. I see Schindler make contact with Ronaldinho. Yep. Two team guys bump into themselves. Kudos to the officiating crew to stop play immediately on a head injury.
Yes, it was
refreshing
nice to see.
But that's not a blue card.
No, and I definitely have to agree. I can completely understand why why you would say that. It was not like we could see it from essentially the announcer's point of view. It did not look. It didn't look like there was any contact. So
no, they didn't award it for contact above the head. They called it a dangerous play.
Yes, dangerous play. Yep.
Which, if you're doing that on bicycle kicks, you probably should do it on all bicycle kicks with anyone in a 3-foot vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that. But if you look at our goals of the week nominees, there's a bicycle kick goal in there.
Yes, there is.
And there's no that foot's coming up above shoulders on a bike kick. Maybe just do away with bike kicks. I love them. They're athletic. They're fancy, but
they are very fancy. I mean, they are entertaining, but I mean, we've already took everything else out of the league that's entertaining. So, I mean,
it's not like the Boy Scouts with your totem chip where you got a blood circle and, everyone's got to be outside arm's length.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one just felt a little iffy.
Yeah. Well, I'm rewatching that play right now.
Yeah.
And it is pretty apparent that it wasn't that kick that caught him. It was Ronaldinho.
Right. And if you're awarding it based on the potential for injury, I understand that. But then we got to call those all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
That consistency needs to happen.
Yeah, it was 100%. It was 100% Ronaldinho. I can see that. I watched it 2 or 3 times, slowed down to a quarter speed.
Yeah.
And, he was going for the bicycle kick. To be fair, he was going for it. And the camera angle does make it difficult to see if there was potentially any contact. So, I mean, if there was, we couldn't see it. But I don't think it was Kojakov.
So are we saying we should get video replay?
Oh,
things
something
can be
everybody's saying.
Yeah. So that penalties can be awarded correctly. And we'll skip to the last blue card of the game. Okay. The charging on Mo NDI, where he couldn't stop in time and bumped into Sakura.
Yes.
I don't know. We see a lot of body-to-body stuff that's just a common foul.
Mm-hmm.
At most, I thought that was a common foul. And Utica still had the ball. We could have just played advantage.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. Yet again, it just was another one that did not feel like an actual, like you said, common foul. I agree with.
Then we scored the game-tying goal on that, and it kind of felt like, ooh, you just handed us overtime. As a fan, I'm happy to get the win, but after you come down off of that immediate high, you're kind of like, well, I don't know if we deserve to go to overtime and get the win. But
I mean, it was literally a blue card to finish the game.
Yeah,
because it was 2-minute blue card at 2:05. So you're looking at, okay, this blue card is going to finish the game. And along with that, I mean, we kept 6 attacker out. So now it's 6-on-4 with 2 minutes left. It's like there is literally no reason for Utica to not invest everything into offense there. And that's exactly what we did. But yeah, it definitely handed us OT, the ability to go to OT. But it was, it didn't necessarily feel great. I mean, it did. It felt great in the moment, but maybe not after.
And then we get to the big, confusing mess that had me looking like a ass because I had to have someone that was at the game explain what happened because what actually happened never got relayed up to the booth so they could explain it to those of us not there.
Yep. Which just falls back to officiating.
That is,
league.
From what I've been told, that is the 4th official's job.
Mm-hmm.
So, sleep at the wheel on a very confusing play. Let's start with the fact that this play was a complete falling apart by St. Louis on a fast break. Will Esquez got the ball. Kojakov's on his right. No one between them and net. Coughlin steps out towards Esquez. He does a little stutter step. And well, he's just going to rip it to one side, and no way Coughlin gets a hand on it. And here we go. It's 8-5.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he tries to drop it to Kojakov, who was not ready for it.
Yep.
He whiffs it, recovers it, goes into the corner, comes out. Lucio steps in to get the ball. Ben's kind of got a hand on him from the back. Not a lot. Kojakov goes down. Whistle blows. Fist comes up like there's a card. You can't tell it on the camera. Looks like a card. Yep. From the announcers, it sounds like there's a card. What I have been told from someone in the arena, and had to have it clarified, was he was called for embellishment. That's why the hand went up. It was a team warning for embellishment.
Okay.
I have watched that play 15 times. I have slowed it down to 25% speed. I still cannot tell on the one camera angle that we get, because the feet are so close, if Kojakov is embellishing, if Lucio catches his right foot, causing the trip, or if as Kojakov pulls his left foot out of the way to avoid Lucio's leg, kind of catches himself in the right leg and knocks himself off balance.
Yeah.
I can't tell at 25% speed. And we have seen some blatant embellishment in this league not get called. So, hand on a book of laws, I'm on a play like that, where it's so bang bang, you're making the call from across the turf with a bunch of defenders between you and the ball.
Yeah.
I'm going no call. It could have gone either way.
Yeah, no, it's, I have to agree with you. It's so hard to tell there. Again, even at super slow-mo, basically, 25% speed, it just seems like there's not necessarily anything there. I mean, I'll be honest, looking at it, it seems more like, it seems like it could have gone either way. I feel like that could have been called for tripping on Lucio.
When I say 50-50, that play from where the official senior referee is standing in the corner across the turf, 50-50, I thought that was a blue card on Utica, or just a penalty or trip on Utica, and common foul, and the ball's going to be placed there for a free kick.
I mean, watching our guys' reactions, you would think that it was a tripping call on one of the guys. I mean, our guys reacted as if it was just that, because he went down, and the next thing you know, they're calling for a card. And again, I thought it was going to be on Lucio, because he looks like he kind of steps in there and gets a foot in there and he goes over it. So to get called for embellishment there is wow. But it's so hard to tell if it's embellishment or if he actually went down due to, being tripped, legitimately being tripped.
But then, because of that, it feels like a generous call going Utica's way.
Yep.
Ben's got the ball tucked under his arm. He's walking across the turf. We see a yellow come out because Kojakov swats it out of his hand. And at that point, because we still don't know what's going on, I'm still half convinced that it's St. Louis's ball.
No.
Now who's got the ball?
Kojakov had the ball.
Ben swats
Raymond swatted it out of his hand, and then as soon as that happens, you see the next yellow card come out for Kojakov for what I would assume is delay of game, because he was carrying the ball away from where it needed to be set.
Right.
And then as he's going in the box, as I'm literally watching it real time. As he's going in the box, he, does a hand gesture to, the referee, and he throws the card up again.
A generous call went Utica's way, and it turned into something so much worse for St. Louis.
Yeah, no, it did. It got really bad.
But yeah, so Kochetkow's carrying it. Okay, fine. I think he thought that call went his way, which is why he had the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll watch on the close-up replay, the official flashes 2 fingers at him and then points at him towards the box.
Yep.
Which is where on the replay, I'm even more convinced that there's a blue card that never happened.
Yep.
It's like, you got 2 minutes, go to the box. I thought the yellow was going to be on Ben for smacking the ball out of his hand. Just a very messy situation all around.
Because the camera angle cuts away, we can't actually see. It almost looks like as he's getting in the box, we do see him bang on the glass as he's getting in the box. And it does look like the referee is coming over to the box there. He looks like he's reaching in the pocket again to give him another card, which of course, he's done. And that's what it looks like to me, because it just seemed like basically the referee was done with his crap.
Yeah. That results in a red for Kochetkov, which I'm guessing the discipline committee hasn't updated anything yet, because there's nothing about a suspension or red card accumulation for him.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have his yellow for dissent. So does he not?
Personally, I think he should not have to. I don't think he should have the red card. I mean, at this point, I sincerely think that he should, not have to have that 1 game suspension for the red. I don't think he deserves it. I really don't. It was a series of unfortunate events.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they did not go his way, and they literally, in my opinion, they turned the game around for Utica in the end. Like, I sincerely believe that.
Mm-hmm. And well-run officiating. Like we said, there's a crackdown that's happened to address player safety and make it more of a priority.
Yep.
It wasn't all weekend, but the last 3 games from this week, the Utica St. Louis, the San Diego Tacoma, and the Ontario San Diego game, if I counted correctly, had 19 combined blue cards. That don't include like a 6-man on. Which is almost double what you would expect based on averages for this season.
Yeah.
And given the nature of some of the generous calls that we saw in the Utica St. Louis game, what do you feel about that? Do you think that the refs have overcorrected from letting these guys get away with too much to not letting them play a physical, fast-paced game?
So to me, this almost dates back to, I'm going to date that they go back to our first game.
Mm-hmm.
We went out there, we were physical with Florida. We were pushing, shoving. But the problem is we got called for every little thing. Which, in my opinion, gave us a complex where we toned it back. And, Utica is known for being a physical team. Mm-hmm. So for them to not be physical is very odd, given the stature of a lot of these guys. So, do I feel that they maybe overcorrected a little bit with the officiating, not letting people get away with a lot? Yeah, I think we have, personally. I think we need to find the happy medium, and we haven't, and the referees have not gotten there yet, plain and simple. So I don't know how long it's going to take them. For all I know, it's going to be next season before we see things return to where they should be for, from an officiating standpoint. But I just wish there was some standardization on this. I really do. Just some standards that everyone, all the referees can abide by.
Did you catch any of In the Box last week?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I was there.
So for anyone that didn't, I'll sum it up real quick.
Go watch it.
Watch it. I say that as I won't watch it because I'll be watching a different live podcast this week. The reason the officiating often has refs from the same area as the home team and not highly trained referees is because the owners are too cheap. One of the reasons that we don't have instant replay coming from the head of officiating is that the owners have balked at the price. Well, let me say something to the owners. One of the reasons this league keeps losing fans, keeps losing viewers, and keeps having teams flop is because the product in quality and consistency is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And to have it there, you have to do this thing called invest in your business. You have to spend money to make money. And the basics of our current capitalist society.
To be fair, in most regards, I can't speak for everyone,
mm-hmm.
but in most situations, given the fan base, yes, if you raise prices in order to compensate for
mm-hmm.
some of these changes that, bringing in higher tier referees, bringing in instant replays, things like that. Again, like you said, investing in the business.
Yes.
You invest in the business, we will invest in you. You make these changes to better the league as a whole, and we see those changes and we see them make a difference in our games, in bad calls and stuff like that, so that you're not having the certain chance against referees because we're frustrated at them making terrible calls because they don't have any more resources to use, or because again they may not be the best. They may not be the best referees or something. You invest in those improvements, people will invest in you.
Yeah. And
what I mean by that is just, if you have to raise ticket prices, fine. Don't go crazy with it. Find the happy medium, but people will still buy tickets. It's not like people are not going to buy tickets if you bump them. Some people might not, but I guarantee you, I can think of quite a few people that are still going to buy season tickets. They're still going to talk about it to their friends. It's still you're still going to bring people in.
So like I flew to Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
I got my ticket 6 rows from the turf behind the bench.
Yep.
It was a fairly empty arena because it was a Tuesday night game. So that's not where I sat. I sat closer.
Of course. You got the opportunity, you might as well.
I paid $15 for my ticket.
Yeah.
We pay more for our tickets in the second level at Utica than they're paying in Ontario for, field level seats. There's money to be made.
Listen, Utica people in Utica we just want to get out of the cold. Okay? We just want to get out of the cold. We want to get in the arena. We don't care how much we have to pay for seats.
No. When I went to Baltimore a couple of years ago, I think I remember seeing like the first couple rows next to the turf were like $45, $50.
Mm-hmm.
They still have one of the better attendances in the league.
Yeah.
You can up ticket prices and make a little bit more money and put it back into this league.
Mm-hmm.
The MASL bills itself as, quote, the highest level of professional indoor soccer in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But when your level of professionalism is less than second-tier leagues here in the U.S., it's not a good pitch. No. It's not a good sales pitch.
No.
Like, I'll take a shot at a local business. Water Safari bills themselves as the largest theme park in New York State. Yeah, it's New York's Water Safari. Yes, sorry. It's New York. There are a few water theme parks, but like, there's a 3-month window where you can make your money. People aren't rushing to this state year round to go to huge water parks.
No, they're not.
You can get by with less, but they're also limiting it to, their scope is like, we're the best in New York.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to call yourself the best arena league in the US with your current standards, fine. I'll give you that. But that's pretty snooty to call, it's like MLB calling it the World Series.
When it's clear, when it's obviously not, because, they don't.
NBA World Champions, as we have teams in 2 countries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just invest, people. That old Field of Dreams line. If you build it, they will come.
Yep.
Marketing's a good thing. And if you're doing all that, you're putting money into putting out a good broadcast, which not every team does. And you're putting money into putting as, good of a team on the turf as you can. And you're not just relying on local talent. And you're putting money into the stuff that goes into the game. You're willing to spend a little more for the officials and the instant replay and all that other good stuff that goes into it. And you're still not drawing fans? Well, you might just be in the wrong area.
Very possible. Yes.
It happens. Look at the baseball teams in Florida. It just happens.
Yep. Oh, you are absolutely not wrong.
Hopefully under this leadership, things get cleaned up eventually, maybe someday.
Someday, possibly, potentially.
They say generally give them 3 years. Well, we're halfway through the first year, so tick tock, time's running.
You're on the clock.
But that's all I got to say about that. I guess I should say sorry to the official that I said should not work games anymore, because your other official didn't relay stuff so that fans could understand what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So our next game, nothing this weekend.
Get a weekend off.
Wednesday, 6 o'clock, Adirondack Bank Center, Baltimore. This is a reschedule from December. Mm-hmm. From when everyone had coronavirus. The mask mandate has been lifted in New York. And now we get the new rules. Sorry, they're not rules. They're not rules. They are game protocols.
There you go.
Keith Tozer wanted to make that very clear. The rules are not rules. They're game protocols, and the rules for how the game are played are actually laws that are enforced about as strictly as our speed limit laws.
Hey, now.
You're an all-star. Get your game on. Go play.
That's it. I'm leaving.
You set me up. I had to knock you down. I don't know if Vanzella will be back. That's a pretty serious crack to the skull we talked about.
Yeah, he literally got knocked out.
If we can find anything on it.
Yeah, he took, God, I just thinking back to that hit. Oh man, I was, again, doesn't even matter if it's your team or not. Thinking from a human perspective, just caring about another human's safety. That one was extremely concerning, and I was worried for that man.
Summer camp. Something about summer camp for kids.
Also, how dare Utica have a 7 to 13 age requirement for the fun day on Wednesday? I want to play soccer.
Look, it's my day off. I'm gonna pull it. I might just pull that Steve Buscemi meme in real life and show up with "How do you do, fellow youths?"
Oh, that would be amazing if you did. Oh, that'd be so good.
They wouldn't let me in. Well,
hello, fellow youths. Hello, bald man. Please get out.
There's wigs somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll totally look natural. You can pull it off. No problem.
Just got to keep a beanie on the whole time.
Yeah.
Puffing and puff.
All you have to do is bunch up with the other kids. You'll be fine.
I'm short enough. Like, they're high schoolers taller than me.
Yeah. You'll be fine. Don't even worry about it.
I've had 14-year-olds work for me that are taller than me that could get better facial hair. I'll be okay. Game's at 6. Baltimore. We don't like them. They don't like us. They embarrassed us down there a week and a half ago.
We took one of their players.
We took their stash.
Technically, we didn't take him from them directly, but
yeah.
Listen, he went to Florida, and then now we have him. So we have the stash man. He's scoring goals for us.
We stashed Hoxie. We stashed Hoxie on our roster.
And what a stash it is.
Gonzaga's back. I mean, but he was back for the last game. 10 more days without injury.
But it was also his first game back.
Right.
It was both of their first games for with us. Utica. Yeah. So, I mean, those two worked well together in that game. Like, you saw cohesiveness between Gonzaga and Hoxie in that game, but it's still building between, them and the rest of the team. And I think now that we've gone a couple of weeks without anyone changing, without any roster changes, maybe we can continue to build on that, continue to build on the cohesiveness of the team.
What kind of game are you expecting?
Well, I would like to look for a competitive game. Like, I'll be honest, I would not be surprised if it is a 1-goal game. If Utica shows up like they did for at least 3 quarters with St. Louis, and they compete, they're there to compete, they're there to play. I could see it being a 1-goal game, one way or the other. If they're not, and they're right back to old habits, Baltimore's going to run away with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if like Baltimore made some trades since that game. And we saw Michaud in St. Louis. They got a young guy back for him and Tello, or however it's pronounced. We'll see how that fits in with their roster, but I still don't know if we're ready to run with a team that's middle of the pack with this league.
I agree.
I know St. Louis is in the playoffs right now. They have 17 points on the season. They've won 2 more games than us. They've lost 2 of theirs in overtime. That's where 2 of those points come, and all their wins are in regulation.
Mm-hmm.
But they've lost 5 in a row. And,
yeah, they've hit a rough patch.
I don't believe Baltimore's had any kind of skid like that.
I mean, right now they're on a 3-game win streak.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're on a tear right now. Trying to see what their past. So their last 3 was actually, we'll say their last. Well, no, they lost that one. So the last 3 games that they've won were Harrisburg, us, and Harrisburg.
Mm-hmm.
Which the first one was a 7-4 win against Harrisburg, coming off of a 6-5 loss to Harrisburg. And then they blew us out of the water 7-2, and then they blew Harrisburg out of the water 9-3. So, they're kind of on a tear right now. But, they're actually, do they play this weekend? They do play this weekend.
Okay.
They play Tacoma on Saturday. Again, not that it means a damn thing.
Right. Do they play Tacoma at home or on the road?
They play Tacoma on the road. So Tacoma's home, Baltimore's away. And then on the 23rd, of course, they play us on our turf.
Right.
But, I mean, again, do I think it really matters that they've got a game before? No.
No, because it's Saturday night. They get a couple days to recover.
The only way that I could see it potentially affecting them is if they lost to Tacoma. And I say that because that breaks their streak. Now they're starting over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at that point, they're worried about, okay, we need to get back on track. We need to get another win. They could come in very hungry for that win. But if they win against Tacoma, same thing. They're going to want to keep their streak. So one way or another, they're going to be looking at Utica as, we know we can beat these guys. We know we can beat them bad. They're going to come in. They're going to be aggressive. And they're going to beat Baltimore. And we need to counter that. We need to come in with aggression. We need to come in as the Utica that's cutting off angles, that's blocking shots, not putting everything on Coughlin. Like, you have to.
Yeah. It looks like Coughlin has taken back his starting goalkeeper position, which I think we both expected.
Yep. As he got more in, back in tune with, his talent, if you will. Yeah, he definitely. I mean, we knew that was going to happen.
So this will be our 4th meeting with the Blast this year. We lost the first one 7-3. We lost the second one 8-4. Both of those were at home, and then we lost on the road 7-2.
Yep.
They seem to have our number this year. We're still moving pieces because, maybe we get Logan back this week. Obasi's gone to the West Coast. Who knows about anyone else? We still haven't seen Slav in like 5 games.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know. I'm not sure, like, where he's at this point, where we're at with him. If he's just kind of done, or if he just hasn't been available. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest. I don't know if I'd want to see him in this game. I don't know if this would be the game to try and integrate him back in.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I don't think this would be the time. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if you got guys injured coming back, maybe that road game on the following Saturday, the 26th, there against the Heat.
That's where I was kind of leaning.
Yeah. I don't know. This one kind of feels like a trap game for Baltimore, where they could come in and be like, we've cleaned floor with these guys 3 times already this year. And then we're coming in off a high that included a come from behind victory that included us scoring first. My heart wants to say we win. My head says 7-4 Blast. And I'm not just saying that because I predicted 7-4 last week and we won.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have a score in mind for this one, but I think it's going to be, if we come in, we play like we did in those 3 quarters against St. Louis.
Yeah. It's
going to be a 1-goal game one way or another. I can't say which at this point, because it really it's really all about which Utica shows up.
Mm-hmm.
What it boils down to. So it's definitely going to be within 1 if they show up. If not, I'm going to fall back to, it's going to be a 3-goal difference one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But probably favoring Baltimore.
Hey, this is a night game.
It is a night game.
And I do still have the screenshot of that tweet back from Utica telling me they will allow me to bring this helmet into the odd. And if not, I know that I can message Coach, and he said he will smuggle it in. I was not carry it. So
I was going to say, get a hold of Coach, get a hold of Timmy. One of them will get it in there for you, I would imagine.
I know one of the guys that works security too. I've worked with him at Water Safari. And I'll just be like, the Coach has said he'll smuggle this for me, so make it easy for me, bud.
And I mean, it's not like they're going to, it's not like you're going to be headbutting people with it.
Right.
Probably. Y'all couldn't see that, but he gave me the look like, yeah, don't rule it out.
If it's a bad game, I might just be headbutting it against the wall.
Now, don't be doing damage, because that's damage they have to pay for, and
I'll paint it black. Anything else you want to add tonight?
I don't think so. We're definitely, if we can stay on this track, then I say we're on the right track. But 1 game isn't enough to make that call.
Yeah, definitely not. See what happens here.
Yep.
That said, I do not know if we'll record an episode next week, with the game being Wednesday. And if we hit 72 afterwards. Or just the fact that it's Wednesday and that's the night we record.
We'll just record one at 72 with everyone in there being very loud, and you might hear some background noise, and it'll sound like we're recording on a potato because we're using one of our phones.
So if we don't have an episode, we will be back the following week. If we do have an episode next week, it'll probably be a late one.
I was to say, I don't have to work the next day, so I could probably do one depending on how late we're at 72.
Well, Oakley dokley then. And then, we play, like I said, at Harrisburg on the 26th at 7 o'clock. And then on the 27th, we have a game against Baltimore in Baltimore at 3 in the afternoon. So some quick action.
Yes, sir. It's going to be interesting week once we get rolling.
I know it's a Wednesday. Let's pack the odd. Pack it.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a 6 o'clock at Wednesday. You're out of there at 8 o'clock. You can be home, showered, and in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
If you want to be.
Yeah. If you're one of those responsible people that gets to bed at a good time, because early to bed, early to rise, blah, blah, blah.
Ugh.
Working in the restaurant biz, that don't work.
No, it does not.
Yeah. So, Brandon, we'll see you Wednesday.
Yes, sir. I will be there. Possibly with my after dark get up. Not that it changes much, but I put a hat on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you then. Hopefully we see more people there. Thank you for listening. And as always, I'm Matt.
I'm Brandon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to us so you never miss an episode. If that podcast app also has reviews, be sure to leave us 5 stars to let us know how we're doing and reach a larger audience. It really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Keeper Corners Pod. And you can always find us there talking UCFC soccer. Thanks again for the support. It's truly appreciated. One last thing. Go Utica.